and welcome to this ultimate video on how to use contact cement. Now I know a lot of people are struggling with this glue and I definitely used to do that myself. I kept watching videos that explained in the same way how you should use this glue, but it just never really worked for me. But I kept struggling and I have found some tips and tricks that is definitely working for me. So I really hope this video will help you out. And with that said, let's just get right into it. Before we even get our hands dirty with the contact glue, we need to talk about something. Because if you have been using hot glue or any other glue until this point, you need to get your head around that it takes way longer to use contact cement. Not only do you have to apply glue on both sides you want to glue together, but you also have to wait for it to dry, so it's a much longer process. But I promise you, the result is definitely gonna be worth it. Once you get the hang of it, you get such a nice, prettier result with a much stronger hold. So definitely worth the more time-consuming process. First place we're gonna start is the glue itself, because the biggest factor that changed my game with contact cement was the glue itself. Now you might have come across quite a lot of videos that tells you to buy these big cans of contact cement. And the problem with these are that once you have opened them, you have around 1 or 2 months to use them before they dry up. So you really need a quite big project to work on if you're gonna use all of it. And another problem is that you have to transfer the glue into smaller bottles or containers. And I found that so tedious to do. But let me instead introduce you to these smaller tubes. The great thing about these tubes is they're very affordable. You can buy them in every hardware store. You don't need to transfer into smaller bottles or containers. And I have never experienced that they dry up, even though I have opened them like so many times. And sometimes these lie around for a year and they never dry up. So I can highly recommend getting these smaller tubes. Let's put these aside, because before we glue anything together, we need to talk about safety. I don't think we talk enough about safety when it comes to cosplay, and especially when it comes to chemicals. And if you want to use this type of glue, you definitely need to use a respirator mask. This type of glue is very toxic. Not as much as your ex, but you still need to wear proper protection. And you also need to ventilate your room very well after you have used it, because some of the particles are still going to be in the room. So it's not fine that you take off your mask just after you have used the contact glue, because the fumes are still in the room. You should also use some gloves so don't get the glue onto your hands. And with all of that safety out of the way, we can finally go to the fun part. Something I feel like a lot of the tutorials out there is leaving out is the very important detail that all contact cements are different and have different drying times. It also sometimes depends on how hot or how cool it is in the room, but this is actually a big factor on how fast your glue is drying. Let's go. With our safety gear on, we can now start to look on how to use the glue. For applying the glue, I like to use foam scraps. Most of all because I don't know what else to use them for, but they are also perfect for spreading out the glue. Contact glue is sticking to itself, so we need to apply it to both sides that we want to glue together. Simply apply the glue to the foam, and then with your trusty foam scrap, you can spread out the glue. Wait for the glue to dry and not being tacky, and then push the two sides together. That all sounds very simple and easy, and that's what all of the tutorials told me to do. And as I said, it just didn't work for me. So I am now gonna explain to you what it is that you need to look out for, both with the thickness of your glue and also how long it should dry. Because these two factors are the key to working with contact cement. Let's start by talking about how thick of a layer of the glue you should apply. With contact glue, you really want a thin layer. If you put too much on, the hold is not gonna be very strong. And it's also gonna take way longer for it to dry, and nobody got time for that. On the other hand, by applying a too thin of a layer, I sometimes find that it's way too difficult to control how fast the glue dries. So sometimes it has already dried up too much for it to have a strong hold. So I like to aim for a thin layer where the glue isn't too transparent. But here you really need to be careful not making small puddles with the glue. So to summarize, we need not too thick of a layer, not too thin, but just in between with no puddles. Okay, let's move on to the second thing you need to look out for, which is the drying time. This is probably the step that most go wrong, and this was definitely where I struggled the most. When it comes to contact cement, we need to find that sweet spot where the glue has just dried but is not too dry yet. If the layer is too wet, it will simply not stick together. And on the other hand, if it has dried too much, it will also not stick together. So again, it's all about finding that sweet spot. For my contact cement, the perfect time is when there are still some small, tiny spots of wet contact cement. This way I can tell that the surface has just dried up and it's the perfect time to push the parts together. Also, you can use your whole life waiting for contact cement to dry. So I like to wave the pieces, and sometimes I even use a hairdryer or heat gun to speed up the drying process. Enjoy your battle scars. If you're like me and you're a little bit of a messy person, you might have some of the contact cement stuck around on your prop. And you actually don't want that, because once you're done priming and painting your prop, you're gonna be able to see those leftovers. But fear not, I have a little trick so you can remove it. By simply using acetone, which you can find in nail polish remover, you can get rid of those leftovers. That wraps it up for this video. I really hope there are some tips and tricks here that you can use next time you're gonna use contact cement. If you're working on a project with contact cement right now, or perhaps you have a future project, please let me know down in the comments, because I would love to hear what you guys are working on. Currently, I am working on the Black Knife armor set from Elden Ring, and there is quite a lot of parts that need to be glued together with contact glue. So I am definitely using all of these tips. And with that, I think we're just gonna roll the end credit. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that if you have been struggling with using contact cement, that this video helped you out. And again, if you're currently working on a project or you have a dream future project where you know you're gonna use contact cement, please let me know down in the comments, because I'm so curious to know what you guys are working on. I really hope to see you in another video. Until then, bye!